we're going to factor this trinomial. And the first thing we want to do in this problem is go ahead and factor the first coefficient in the first term here. And so instead of it being 5v to the second, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put our little brackets here. And the first thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and put our 5 here, v, and we'll also put that same v over here. So now we have 5v squared. Then the next thing we want to do, our next step, if you look at your steps here, we're going to go ahead and find out what two numbers that we can multiply that's going to be equal to -2 here. So we want to find out what two numbers, and there's not too many in that combination. And so I'll go ahead and put a little chart here of numbers that you can multiply together to get -2. We have one, a positive one, I'll put a positive here, times a -2, exactly. Or we can have a -1 times a positive 2, right? Or we can also have a negative, let me see, we should have a positive 2 and a -1.
That's the same thing.
But they're in different places. It doesn't make a difference when we're doing factoring trinomials where the a is not equal to 1, where it is equal to 1. If it's equal to 1, it doesn't matter which side they go on. But when we start foiling, it does matter because the answer must show up to be correct when we use our method. So we can just start pulling one out. Let's say if we pull this one right here, the +1 here. We have +1, and matter of fact, let's color code that so we can be on the same page. So we'll just use this. Try this first. First of all, let's try the first one here, which is +1, and then we have a -2 here. Well, if we're going to do this, the first thing we want to check it. We multiply these together, we get 1v, right? We multiply these other two together, the 5 and the -2, and we get -10v, right? And so if we look at this answer right here, if we use our adding and subtraction rules, you have a positive v and you have a -10. Those signs are different, so what do we do when the signs are different?
Subtract.
You subtract, what do you get?
-9v.
You get 9, you get -9. And so basically we've solved our problem because as long as our answer is -9 after we add the sum, or the product, excuse me, of the inner and the outer numbers here, and we get -9v, and that is the middle number here. As long as these two match, our problem is right. And so this is our final answer. It is 5v plus 1, and over here we have v minus 2. Okay?
Okay.
And so our problem will be solved, and that would be the correct answer. Yes, you had a question?
Okay, what did you do with the 1 and the v and the 5 and the 2? Did you multiply them? Or?
Well, the first thing I did was I multiplied these two numbers right here. I wanted to find out what numbers that I can multiply that's going to equal -2. That's what got me started. And that's how I got the two numbers here that I played with. Once I found out those numbers, that's what I plugged in here. And then our steps after we plug those numbers in is multiplying the inner numbers and multiplying the outer numbers, and then adding those two together using your adding subtraction rules. And if that number, if the conclusion is the same number that you have here as the middle term, then you know the problem is correct. You go. Now let me back step a little bit. Here, I'll do it. I'll back step. Here we go. Let's go backwards.
Yes, please go back.
Okay. We back the problem up. We rewound. Okay, and the first thing we did in our problem here is factored, right? So what we wanted to do is take that first term, that first coefficient, that first term, and we wanted to go ahead and split it up, because factoring is just splitting in smaller pieces. So we did it right here. That's the first thing we did. You got that, right? Then the next thing we did was we skipped over the middle number here, because we're going to come back to that. We went and found out what two numbers we can multiply together to give us -2. And so we started playing with a couple different combinations. We have +1, -2, and therefore. And then
Wait, to get to -2?
Two numbers that you can multiply together that equals
Oh,
-2. and they can be in different combinations. That's what I'm saying, you have to play with them. You can have the positive 1 first, the negative 2, and when you use the foiling method that we use, it must make sense at the end. Now let's go here. We took the positive 1. We took the positive 1. We took this one right here. I think this might have been our answer here. We took the positive 1 here, and then the negative 2.
Okay.
Okay, we just put them in its place since that's the one we're going to try out first. Then the next step was we have to multiply your inner numbers here. So 1 times v is 1v, right? Does everybody follow me on that?
Yeah.
Then we multiply the outer numbers. 5 times 2 is negative 10. And that's also v. Well, now we have to use our adding subtraction rules. That's how we got negative 9v. And that's our answer. Boom. This matches with this. We know our answer is right. This is our answer right here, though. It's 5v plus 1 and then v minus 2 right here. This is our answer in the middle here. We're just checking it when we do our foiling method. Okay. How about this one right here? Now this is actually done it's a little more difficult than the one we had before. It is a little more difficult than the previous problem. You're going to have to factor. You're going to have to factor that 12, so that 12 cannot stay the way it is. And the way we will try different combinations, what I would do is still go ahead and put our parentheses there. And then we can go ahead and make this 3k, and then we'll make that 4k. Therefore, we have together we have 12k squared. You follow me? We just broke this into two different pieces, and we may have to play around with this problem because it doesn't work out perfectly all the time. We have to just try different combinations. Now, at this point, we want to, as we did before, find out 2 numbers we can multiply together that would give us positive 4.
2 times 2.
Okay, we have 2 times 2, so we're talking about positive 2 times positive 2, okay? Any other combinations?
4 times 1.
Negative 2 times negative
2 times
Okay,
positive.
negative 2 times negative 2, something else?
Negative
4 times 1.
Okay, 4 times 1, 4 times 1. Or negative 4 times negative 1. And so you can see how this can actually go many different, you can have many different combinations. You have to start just plugging them in to find out which one will actually match with the answer. And so sometimes you have to do a little trial and error before you get to it. Okay, so let's try, since I like 4 and 1, let's try the different 4 and 1 combinations. Okay. These right here. We'll try one of those 2. So the first one here, let's do 4 times 1. So we have a plus 4 here, and then we have a plus 1. Okay. Now let's do our foiling method, and let's go ahead and do our 4 and 4k. If we multiply those 2 together, what should we get? 4 times 4, class?
16.
Okay, 16k. And then we also are going to multiply our outer numbers here, and what is that?
12k, correct?
3k and 1k is what?
Oh yeah.
3k, right?
My bad.
If we add them together, what do we get?
Positive 19.
Positive 19k. So what do you think we must do?
Change the signs.
We need to change the signs. I will leave the same numbers the same exact way. Anytime you get to this stage right here where you see it's the exact same number you need as far as your middle term, you want to just change your signs. So let's go ahead and go back, and I'm going to just back this up a little bit and just erase all of this. We just did that to find out what. And we're going to keep the numbers exactly the way they are, but we're just going to change our signs. So we'll change. So we erase this right here, and we erase this one right here. Okay, so we're gonna make this a. What do we say we're gonna change?
Negative.
This to? A negative 4. And make this a positive, right?
No.
No.
Negative. Wrong.
Make them both negative.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only way it would equal out to positive 4.
Okay, let's try it.
That's right. That's right.
All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we have 4K and -4, which will be negative what?
16.
Negative 16K, and then we multiply the 3K and -1, which will be what?
Negative 3K.
Negative 3K. Looks like you are a winner. So we have negative 19K. So does this match up with the middle term?
Yes.
Correct. So we know that that is the correct answer. And the way it's written out will be 3K minus 4, and then we have 4K minus 1.